What happens when the world's most powerful economies decide to lock horns over trade? How do the countries involved deal with rising tensions, and what does it mean for industries that depend on international trade? President Donald Trump has recently made headlines with his bold move to impose a 10% tariff on Chinese imports, set to take effect on February 1st, 2025. This follows his earlier decision to impose a 25% tariff on goods imported from Canada and Mexico. These tariffs are not just about trade. They are part of a broader strategy aimed at addressing significant concerns like illegal immigration and drug trafficking, particularly the growing flow of fentanyl into the United States. But the Chinese government is not backing down. They've strongly warned that a trade war, while it might seem like a win for one side, ultimately offers no real winners. Their message is clear. Tariff disputes tend to lead to mutual economic harm. Meanwhile, the 25% tariffs on imports from Canada and Mexico have already triggered sharp reactions. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, for instance, has expressed his country's displeasure and warned of retaliation. Canada, which plays a crucial role in supplying energy resources to the US, has voiced its concerns loud and clear. Ontario Premier Doug Ford has taken an even more aggressive stance, labeling these tariffs as a declaration of war. His response included measures such as boycotting American-made alcoholic beverages and targeting products from Republican-held regions, particularly those in the automotive sector. Volkswagen, which operates a significant manufacturing plant in Puebla, Mexico, is also voicing its concerns. The potential impact these tariffs could have on both American consumers and the global automotive market is a topic of growing importance. The company has joined the chorus of voices calling for more equitable trade policies, as the uncertainty surrounding these tariffs threatens to create a ripple effect in the global economy. On the other side, China has quietly ramped up its countermeasures in response to these tariffs. Though these actions have largely escaped mainstream media attention, their implications are significant. Among the retaliatory measures, China has halted the export of rare earth elements, vital materials used in tech and defense manufacturing, to the US. Additionally, China has reduced its imports of US oil, a key component of the trade relationship. The country has also imposed tariffs exceeding 74.9% on certain American goods, exacerbating the already tense situation. In a move that signals a broader resistance to what it perceives as economic aggression, China's retaliatory tariffs now extend beyond the US. Imports from the European Union, Japan, and Taiwan are also targeted. This widening scope underscores the global nature of the trade conflict, signaling that the stakes are rising and the tension is spreading across international borders. But what are the potential global impacts of these retaliatory tariffs? And what do they mean for the industries caught in the middle? To fully understand the consequences, we must first take a closer look at the tariffs and actions taken by the US, the EU, Japan, and Taiwan, and how each is responding to the other's moves. To begin, let's examine the new tariffs announced by President Trump. In addition to his 10% tariff on Chinese imports, the Biden administration has also implemented significant tariff increases on Chinese goods, citing unfair trade practices. One of the most notable of these actions is the increase in tariffs on Chinese-made electric vehicles, EVs. What was once a 25% tariff has now soared to a staggering 100%. This dramatic escalation in tariffs is designed to protect the US auto industry, particularly from Chinese competitors who benefit from heavy subsidies. The goal here is clear: to curb the competitiveness of Chinese EVs in the US market and to promote the growth of domestic EV manufacturers like Tesla and Rivian. This tariff increase isn't limited to just vehicles. The US has also imposed higher tariffs on lithium-ion batteries, which are a critical component in electric vehicles. Previously, the tariff rate was 7.5%, but it has now been raised to 25%. This measure aims to stimulate domestic battery production and reduce the reliance on Chinese suppliers who dominate the global battery market. But that's not all. The US has also rolled out tariff hikes in the semiconductor sector, which is another crucial area in the ongoing trade dispute. Tariffs on Chinese semiconductors imported into the US are set to increase from 25% to 50% by 2025. This is part of a broader strategy to encourage US semiconductor production and reduce vulnerabilities in the tech supply chain, particularly in areas of national security. The Biden administration has also targeted medical products such as syringes, needles, and personal protective equipment, PPE. Tariffs on these products are expected to rise to as much as 50% by 2024. This is another step in the effort to reduce the US's dependence on foreign-made medical supplies, an issue that was made starkly apparent during the COVID-19 pandemic. Another area where tariffs have seen sharp increases is renewable energy. The US has raised tariffs on Chinese solar cells to 50%, and tariffs on critical minerals used in clean energy technologies, like natural graphite and permanent magnets, are set to reach 25% by 2026. This is part of the broader strategy to support US-based clean energy businesses and reduce reliance on Chinese exports for essential renewable energy components. Across the Atlantic, the European Union has also taken decisive steps in response to what it sees as unfair trade practices by China. Effective October 31, 2024, the EU introduced tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles ranging from 7.8% to 35.3%, bringing the highest tariff on EV imports to a total of 45.3%. This follows an investigation into Chinese subsidies for electric vehicle manufacturers, which the EU determined were undercutting European producers. The EU has also implemented anti-dumping tariffs on Chinese imports of the sweetener arol, with duties ranging from 34.4% to 233.3%. This is just another example of how trade tensions are escalating, as each player looks to protect its domestic industries from what it views as unfair competition. As tariffs rise and tensions increase, what does this mean for global economic strategies and international political dynamics? These rising trade tensions highlight the intensifying competition among the world's largest economies. Key industries such as technology, clean energy, and manufacturing are now at the center of this growing conflict. As nations seek to protect their economic interests, the result is a complex and increasingly interconnected global landscape. China, for its part, has introduced provisional anti-dumping tariffs on polyacetyl copolymers, a specialized industrial plastic used by the US, EU, Japan, and Taiwan. This move is a clear signal of China's ongoing strategy to safeguard its domestic industries amid the escalating trade conflict. These tariffs will likely have significant consequences for companies in industries like automotive and consumer electronics, especially those that rely heavily on Chinese manufacturing. In terms of the broader impact, US exporters are now facing some of the highest tariffs imposed by China, with rates ranging from 57.2% to 74.9%. These steep tariffs reflect China's concerns about American firms engaging in significant dumping practices. As a result, it is becoming increasingly difficult for US exporters to remain competitive in the Chinese market. Companies like DuPont and Solvay, which produce polyacetyl copolymers, will be hit hard by these changes, as they are significant suppliers of materials for industries such as automotive and consumer electronics manufacturing in China. For European Union exporters, the tariff rate is slightly lower at 42%. However, this is still a considerable barrier, and although European firms may be less affected than their American counterparts, they will still see reduced competitiveness in the Chinese market. Companies like BASF and Solvay, which are key suppliers of polyacetyl copolymers to China, will face rising costs, and the pressure to maintain a foothold in the market will grow. Japanese exporters, on the other hand, face an even higher tariff rate of 43.7%, reflecting their competitive pricing and substantial presence in China. Companies like Mitsubishi Engineering Plastics, which specializes in high-performance materials for industries like automotive and medical devices, will see their supply chains disrupted, particularly in the automotive sector. The new tariffs will push up costs, and Japanese companies will need to adapt to the changing market conditions. In conclusion, The escalation of trade tensions between the US, China, the EU, Japan, and Taiwan has created a volatile environment in the global economy. Each country's response to these trade actions is shaping the future of international trade and economic relationships. As these tensions continue to unfold, the consequences will be felt across industries and markets worldwide, with far-reaching effects on supply chains, pricing strategies, and international political dynamics. The ongoing trade war has no simple solution, and the outcome will determine how global economic power is distributed in the years to come.